knowing Michael. He's moved here from New York, but we become very good friends and done a nice job for several clients of mine. So definitely. Yep. And Jack Lapidus is a famous attorney, real estate. Knowing Michael. Oh, there we are. Okay, we're on YouTube live. How about that? Jack is an attorney.
Famous or infamous?
Well, I think both, actually. I think in your case, both.
Depends on who you talk to.
Well, I've seen your picture of the FBI. No. Yeah, depending on if it's your client or the other side. To me, famous. Hey, Jack Lapidus is getting me paid. I got to tell you, I see the name Jack Lapidus. I wonder, oh, I'm getting paid again. That's great. When my client tells me they're retaining him as an attorney, he's unwound 2 deals. We had a tenant who was a difficult situation, and we had a petition action. And what was the other one? Varna. Oh, yeah, and a seller who was trying to litigate and cause some problems. So, hey, just to add to my life, my wife came to me a few months ago and said, given COVID, how about we remodel, like to repaint and retile the house? Not tile the whole thing, but tile the tile, whatever. Like, oh yeah, big deal. How big a deal could it be? Well, when the tile guy does his tile cutting 8 feet from your window for like 3 weeks straight, oh my God, I will never tile again. You know what? I'll live on dirt floors before I retile a house ever again while living there, just for the record. Okay, so who we got? God, we got full house. Okay, we still got a minute or two to go. Who's got a story they want to tell you before we get started? Anybody? Anybody got some good news you want to share? Sonny, you don't count.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I got one if you got an opening.
Yeah, Mark, go ahead.
Well, you can imagine what prices are there in California and most of the U.S. I've got a guy on Facebook who brought me a probate deal that is in Birmingham, Alabama.
Nice.
He said $7,000.
Boom.
And then he didn't know what the ARV is. This is a transitioning area, so the ARV is about 50, 60,000. But it's got a hole in the roof. It's small footprint. It's a 2-1, about 800 square feet. But where can you find affordable housing? I mean, a 2-1 you're going to rent maybe in the cheapest place $500. So what I do is I buy them really cheap. I came back and said, it's pretty rough. I don't know I can go that high. I got them down to $4,500. So I've got an investor who wants to learn about notes. She's going to put up all the money. She's going to fund everything. So I find the deal, get the deal funded. Now, again, I do just enough rehab to make it livable condition, and then a handyman bargain, sweat equity available for down payment. You paint, you put the flooring in, and we'll give you credit toward your down payment. I get at least $5,000 down on $50,000, create a $45,000 note. Boom.
But you only bought it for $4,500, so you're really getting all your money back up front.
Bingo. That's the plan.
I figured that one out pretty quickly, huh, Mark?
Yeah. Well, I will put probably about 10 into it to fix the roof and put, again, I don't know the condition of the but this just came up literally. So I was out with a realtor today driving. I mean, there's a house that's just up the hill. Of course, it's a nicer area and the house been renovated nice, but it's going for $100,000 for a 2-1.
Very nice.
Yeah. The deals are out there.
The deals are out there. Mark is a master of this stuff, so feel free to reach out. And then I don't know, Mark, if looks like you're driving, can't put your info in the chat box, but if you want to get in touch with Mark, email me or text me.
Yeah, no, I pulled over.
Oh, okay, good. Put your info in the chat box, so that way we can get it. And you guys put the chat box. We're on YouTube today, not on Facebook. I don't know why. I don't know that it matters, but anyhow, we'll put the stuff in the YouTube and see what happens from there. Let's go get started. I host this real estate investment Zoom weekly because I used to go once a week to an event in Van Nuys at the Sizzler. About 40, 50 people would show up every week. And it was a mix of seasoned vets, grizzled vets like Mark, and veterans who are vendors like lenders, hard money lenders, escrow, title reps, people you need to function your business, and then brand new people. And at this meeting, I met a brand new guy who I don't know why we got along right away. I really don't know why we get along at all. But I met this new guy, and I get ever since, I've been hosting these calls since March now for about 7 months. And I host another one on Thursday on probate real estate. And the question I get asked all the time is, how do I start in wholesale and make money? Now, if you say to me, I'm a new realtor, I know how to answer that question if that's your job and that's your goal. And I'm glad to have a consult with you individually offline about that in detail. But if you want to be a wholesaler, I know I work with wholesalers. I know to help them make money. I sell my listings to wholesalers and investors, and I wholesale some deals. I invest some deals of my own, but I don't really know the process and how to get from 0 to 1. And I worked with a guy who went from 0 to 1, and since then has gone from 1 to a couple more. Now, he should be doing more than that. As good looking as he is, he should sell a lot of property. I tease him, but I wanted to bring on, and I'm really excited to have today, my really colleague and friend, Sonny McEwen, to talk about that process. So Sonny, say hi.
Hey guys, how you doing?
So I gave you a little bit of an intro, but give us a little bit of your background. Where you're from? What did you do before you started investing in real estate?
So my name's Sonny. I'm from Inglewood, California. A little bit about me. Before I actually was investing in real estate, I was in prison for 10 years. So right when I got out, I kind of got out and jumped right into wholesaling. And now I'm kind of at the pace where I'm, kind of scaling my business and, trying to expand nationwide.
Okay. So one thing about Sonny, if you ever met him at the meetings, he used to wear a hat that said,
I buy houses.
You buy houses. and so that was just part of the process. Was he was out there, and the thing I noticed right away was he was hungry. Like he had to make some money, right? True or false?
Yeah, very much true.
You weren't independently wealthy when you started real estate.
No, not at all.
No. And you had a day job that you were hustling at, and you're doing real estate on the side. So describe that process. Like you have to describe the day job, but how many hours were you working, and then what did after hours look like to hustle to get into real estate?
So fortunately I was a server. So a lot of my money came from, tips and stuff like that. So I didn't actually have to put in an 8-hour workday. But, outside of that, still, dealing with that demand, having to go from like 4 to 6 hour shift to coming to, out to Sizzler, to Van Nuys, door knocking or cold calling, or, just dealing with that whole situation. It was definitely something to figure out.
Okay. So, but I'm saying, did you work an hour a day in real estate, 2 hours a day in real estate? When do you work in real estate?
So gradually I started to scale. So initially when I first started, I was doing about 4 or 5 hours on the phone. But I kind of got,
per week, per month.
So I was working 5 days a week, 4 hours a day on the phone, but I kind of, got.
Well, so let's stop there for a second. Let that sink in, because you did that and that sinks in for you. But I want people to hear, if you want to go from 0 to 1, you want to go from part-time to full-time, he put in how many hours a day?
4 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Because really, what else did you have to do?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, really, you don't have much money when you're starting out.
Yeah.
Right. So what else are you going to do? You learn to enjoy that rather than watching TV or something stupid, right?
Exactly.
So I just want to congratulate you for taking control of that and getting started on that. And what did those 4 or 5 hours a day look like initially?
So honestly, it was really more like 6 to 8 hours, just based on, I didn't have a VA or anything like that. So, and then I didn't have the budget to pay for any sort of list. So I was using, I can't remember the name of it. It was basically a skip trace service where you can skip trace one lead at a time. And basically, so I'll go out, drive for dollars for about 2 hours, and then go home and skip trace those leads one by one. So that's already a 4-hour ordeal just before I even get on the phone. And then I'll get
Was
on
that
the
Deal
phone.
Machine?
No, it's a actual site. I can't remember the name of the site. Intellio, I would have said it is. I want to say it's Intel. It's like a site where you can skip trace individual names one by one. So I would skip trace and then I would get free. Yeah. So no, it's 26. It was $30 a month. So I can afford $30 a month, where I'm skip tracing these one by one. And then I'm getting on $1. Not even $1, I'm hand dialing 4 hours straight. So I'm really not even really effective, on the phone. I'm hand dialing one by one calls.
Hold on. Now put your hands up. Do you have magic hands? Are they special hands? Extra finger? No. So you just understand you could hand dial and make money, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
It can be done. If you don't have money, that doesn't stop you You can
Yeah.
actually hand dial.
Most definitely. Yeah. So yeah, I couldn't actually afford that. So, I was just hand dialing one by one. And then, on the days where I would go out to Sizzler, I would come back and door knock because, I still want to be effective. So, the day at the Sizzler, we get there about 12, something like that, or something like that. And I get back to LA around 2:30. So I'm door knocking for another hour and a half or something like that, just because, I'm just trying to be as effective as possible.
What else you have to do?
Exactly. So,
And
but
I don't mean to be disrespectful, but when I say that, I remember back when I started in real estate, I was engaged getting married. And I remember my apartment had no furniture other than we had a bedroom set, I think a dresser for clothes, and I think maybe we had a table. And in those days, all the forms were paper. I had them all on the floor. And I'd work Monday through Friday, long hours, come home. And for me, I remember in those days, I worked on Saturdays. I don't anymore. I became religious. But I remember thinking, well, what else do I have to do? Is Saturday morning, I just got up and went to work Saturday, went to work Sunday. I had nothing else to do. Anything else costs money. What else did you have to do, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, very much.
So keep going. So you would go back out and door knock. Now you also did bandit signs.
Yeah, I did bandit signs as well. Yeah. So, I mean, initially I was just I was just trying to find the way to be the most effective. So, I knew mailers really wasn't in the cards for me just because my budget wasn't there. Cold calling, door knocking, anything where it's low barrier entry, I could do that. So bandit signs, I paid $200 for about 200 signs. And before I actually got the hammer, I was using just zip ties. So I was I was zip tying around like stop signs and trees and just stuff like that at main stops. And then I would do that as I'm door knocking. So I'll door knock a couple houses, then on the corner I'll put up a sign as far as a bandit sign. So that was pretty much my process where I was trying to put up at least 4 or 5 signs a day, and I was trying to be on the phone at least 4 hours a day. So I was just trying to build up some momentum.
Nice. So we met about a year ago.
Mhm.
So fast forward now, what's business look like today? How does it look different?
So today, I have 2 VAs. I have one that's actually doing my social media. So he's reaching out to wholesalers. And I have another VA that's I just hired about 2 weeks ago. She's on the phone. She's part-time. So basically now my operation is basically I'm just for the most part looking to close the deals. Just, once they, take leads through, the matriculation process as far as, vetting them and seeing what it looks like. And then I'll actually get on the phone to close them. So, and also I joined patient mortgage programs. So that kind of gave me a little different edge as far as, because just wholesaling, that always doesn't make sense. But um, I added, creative finance. So that also, allowed me to, speak a different sort of language in terms of, when I can't buy it at a wholesale price, we can negotiate terms.
So share with me what a lead looks like today. Where does it come from? What's a lead look like? Maybe one that you've worked on here in the last, recently?
So like last week, I just put a deal in escrow in Indiana. So
Hold on a
basically
second, everybody. How nonchalant was that when he said that? Like, yeah, last week I put in escrows. I remember when you would kill to get something in escrow. Right? Oh, yeah, I put in escrow. Okay, I'm just enjoying this. Watching you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so basically I have my VA posts in Facebook groups, like, hey, wholesalers, what deals are you working on, that sort of things, or what market are you in? And once they respond to a market, he'll individually reach out to each one, start a conversation, and just try to see where they are as far as what they're doing on their deals and stuff like that. So this particular guy in Indiana, he had a deal in Indiana where the homeowner basically doesn't have any equity in the property. So he has low equity. He only has about $20,000 in equity in the property. So he can't sell it for a wholesale price because, it wouldn't make sense. He would essentially have to bring money to the closing table to close the deal, which wouldn't make sense for him. And also listing it probably isn't the best because he doesn't really want to go through that process. So, this wholesaler introduced me to him, and basically, we got on the phone. And I basically was telling him, like, basically what's your situation, what are you looking to do, that sort of thing. He was like, basically, my mom is in Washington State and I want to sell this property, but I'm in a situation to where I kind of do want to cash out on equity, but I don't want to list it. So I asked him if he knew what terms was. So basically, terms is I explained to him where basically you would stay on as the on the mortgage as an owner, but we would take over all of the sort of management responsibilities and things like that. And it's also a way for you to kind of cash out on your equity. So that was something that made sense for him because it was like kind of specific. He couldn't sell it at a wholesale price because he doesn't have the equity, to give a cash buyer that discount, but he also doesn't want to list it. So, and also he still wants to cash flow every month. So it was kind of a win-win situation.
Nice. Okay, so I get asked every call, somebody who's newer, and for those of you who are veterans, I appreciate a little patience here. I really think it's important to give back to the business and develop the next group of people. We all benefit from that process. So here's a chance to ask somebody who was a year ago, I think, literally brand new in the business, and now got it up and going and has not one but 2 VAs. Yeah. So here's your chance to ask a question. Let's see. Can you be specific? I'm pretty new, so don't even know the sign yet. Ashley, go ahead. Ask a question. What terms did you not follow? This is for you, Ashley. This whole call is for you.
Are bandit signs those like I buy houses signs that I see on the street corners?
Exactly. So there's a sign. Yeah, exactly.
And like when you say hand dialing, is that like, so you drove by the house and saw it was vacant and then typed it into your script tracing program and it pulled up a name and a phone number and you just call them up? Is that how you got those phone numbers?
So matter of fact, let me show you. This was before I had a CRM. This was my actual CRM. So getting a yellow pad, writing down the address, going home, and the actual name of the site was Intellius. That's what the name of the site was. But so I would literally write down, I don't know if you can see it, I would literally write down the homeowner's name, well, their address, and from their address, I would go on Intellius and find, their address and stuff like that, and I would they'll spit out, a bunch of numbers, phone numbers, and basically, since I didn't have a dollar, I would actually literally get on my phone and
just call all the numbers.
I would literally hand dial. So that's what I mean by hand dial. Like, so I would literally dial number by number and, just call until someone picked up. Now, I use Call Tool, or basically I can upload a list and, it'll just call until someone picks up. But, I was just trying to do what I could.
Before we had any money. I'm where you are now. I lost a lot. And so it's like, okay, what can I do to make this happen? So.
Well, actually, a lot of people, what happens is we start the business like Sonny did, I did, and then we start making some money, and we get some technology like a database, a CRM that does auto dialing. It can speed up the process. I'm going to argue not that much. It's exaggerated, but whatever. And then one day that service is down, and I'd have salespeople say, well, I can't dial because my dialer's down. Yeah. Well, you can dial. There's the phone. You have phones, right? Just hit the buttons. There's little buttons on there, and you can dial all day long. And what's funny is if you dial by hand quickly and you hang up before the fourth ring and you don't leave messages, you can average 8 to 15 contacts per hour on a cold list.
Yeah, I was doing
it. But we get addicted to the technology, and sometimes it's an excuse not to do the job. And so what Sonny is expressing is that he's grown the business. He's now leveraging his success with some technology. But sometimes you don't get to, you just got to dial those phone numbers.
Exactly.
Good question, Ashley. What else? Somebody had a question. What's a VA? The term he used, and that means that's shorthand for a virtual assistant. So there's a lot of virtual assistant types. There's some that you use online to do administrative work for you. You can hire people to do phone calling for you. I have a virtual assistant who's going to show up at the court and be my assistant for the day at a court auction in LA County Court. So you have your virtual assistant, you said, doing phone calling. And what's the other one? Social media posting?
Yeah, he's doing my Facebook. So he's, because when I entered Pace Morby's program, that was one of the things they were stressing, like, a quick way to get you a deal is to find, work with the wholesaler on the deal that they pretty much have locked up that they really can't sell. So my first deal was some wholesalers in Houston got a deal locked up at $96K and they were trying to sell it at $98K. and the house was worth 99K. So obviously the deal was dead in the water when they put in escrow. So when I got on the phone with the seller, basically he owned the property for about 7 months, had no equity in the property. He's been delinquent since he owns the property. So that made sense for him because he couldn't list it because, like I said, he had no equity. So he would have to bring money to the table. But once I start amplifying that, because I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups, I'm in about 60 or 70 Facebook groups. So I just posted it in all the Facebook groups. Hey, wholesalers will market you, and hey, wholesaler, do you have any dead leads that I could work? And it got to the point where it's overwhelming because it's like 400, 500 posts. And I'm like, that can get pretty tedious. And, when I can just hire a VA to pay him $80 a week to go through all the posts and, just basically send me an end of day report. Like, hey, you need to reach out to him. This is what I came up with for today, that sort of thing.
You pay virtual assistants per hour, $4.
So I pay him $4 an hour. He works 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. So $80 a week. And
when you pay them $4 an hour, they work hard per hour. It is amazing what the work you get. If you wonder why there used to be administrative people in the office that would do computer work and paperwork and they're no longer around, it's because you can hire some in the Philippines who'll do in an hour what Americans would do in 3 or 4 hours for $4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And they're happy. And they're very happy. Like, I'm happy with what you're paying me. Thank you. I mean, because honestly, one of my VAs, one that's on my social media during the pandemic, he lost his job. So I'm literally his only income right now in terms of, him being able to have a job. So, they're very thankful.
So I've got a question for you. What would your advice be to new investors with the knowledge you have now?
So my advice would be get on Zillow and look at pre-foreclosures and door knock those. And then in the area, probably door knock 4 or 5 ugly houses in the same area. But that's the quickest way with no money because Zillow charges you nothing. You can literally go on Zillow, type in a zip code and type in pre-foreclosures and they will give you, it's accurate, it's very accurate. So you can go door knock them if you're not scared of knocking on the door. So I've been door knocking for about 2 years and I've heard one guy tell me fuck off the whole time I've been door knocking.
Well, then you're not door knocking enough. I'll tell you, I used to cold call was my strength, expire listings. Mm-hmm. And I would role play every day with my partner for 15 minutes before we call for 3 hours. And we role played, we would purposely be the hardest lead of the day. We'd be as hard as we could be on each other. And we'd have to drop at least one F-bomb. I don't want to say the word because we have ladies in the call, but we would use minimum one F-bomb every practice to get used to it, right? Mm-hmm. And I never got any F-bombs. One day, I think I've told the story before, I got this guy with this amazing, deep, gravelly voice. And he gave me not one, not two, but 3 F-bombs. Yeah. And when I hung up the phone, I looked at his name. It was Don Cornelius, who some younger people don't remember, but he was the MC of the greatest
Soul Train.
Soul Train, right? And he had a voice like was from God, like F you, and like 3 of them. And I remember to call my role play partner and say, if I can stand 3 F-bombs from Don Cornelius, I can withstand anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see here. So day one, you would say Zillow, door knock, and you said something else in there. The pre-foreclosures and ugly homes. What do you mean by ugly homes?
So houses where it's like aesthetically, like the roof is dilapidated, the windows, and the grass is high, or especially like houses like it's a bunch of mail in the mailbox. So on those, I door knock the neighbors because most likely no one's there. So I go door knock the neighbors, like what's the situation?
Smells like money.
Yeah, pretty much.
You got the toy in front with cobwebs over it.
Yeah, exactly. So, because
newspapers.
Because obviously the neighbors don't want squatters next door, or just even an ugly house messing up the block. So, if they have information, they're going to tell you everything.
Yeah, good. Excellent. And I think most people get in real estate, they're looking for the pretty houses. We all like to be in those, but that's not where the money is. No. And if you notice what Sonny said, just to kind of give a little flavor to it, where did he make money? The wholesaler who got in trouble, right? There wasn't enough equity. The truth was there wasn't enough equity. That wholesaler didn't know what Sonny knew.
Exactly.
Sonny solved the problem and got paid. And he's looking at houses. Is he looking for the pretty houses? No, he's looking for the ugly houses. Why? Somebody's got a problem.
Exactly.
They can't pay the mortgage, they can't this, they can't that. and he helps them figure out the problem. And so the thing I say all the time is we get paid to solve problems. We're looking for problems. Right? So good. Excellent. Michael says the advantage of door knocking over calling is that you're more likely to get recommendations that way.
Say that one more time.
Michael says the advantage of door knocking over calling is that you're more likely to get recommendations that way.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I've got some recommendations because you're personable, so it's not like, over the phone or something like that. So they can get a real quick gauge of, how personable you are. You're serious because you're not just on the phone haggling.
So if I was starting out brand new and I was as hungry as you were, how long should I expect it to take before I get paid?
So you have different schools of knowledge. So some say about 90 days because, you build up your pipeline, that sort of thing. And, they'll eventually start, because basically what you want to do is you start building up your pipeline, and it's really in the follow-up. So once you reach out initially and you follow up with someone, that's when they either one, know you're serious, or two, the situation changes. So one of my first deals that I closed outside of when me and Bill closed was a guy that I was following up for about a year and a half in Compton. So I reached out to him. He was telling me, my grandmother's ailing, so eventually want to sell the property. So I just would reach out to him every 90 days. And it got to the point he was like, I think about like the fourth time I called him, he was like, Sonny, you're the only one that keeps calling me. So whatever we do with the property is yours. Like whatever we do in terms of selling the property, we're going to talk to you first, just based on everyone else has fell off in terms of reaching out to me. So it would be in your follow-up. So once you start establishing, you call someone once and you call a month later or 2 months later. So that's when we can start, things start shaking out in terms of like, okay, maybe this person that you thought was actually a deal isn't, but this person is, just based on you keep following up and they're telling you like, okay, either going through the divorce, the mortgage, or we have to sell fast because we need money or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's the hard thing for agents to understand is how long it can take. That just means you need more leads to get your pipeline more filled up. You can't rush somebody to sell a house. They're going to sell it already. It's often a year or two. But we don't want to throw those away. We want to survive till then. That's when the money really comes in.
Exactly.
Curly throws in that door knocking beats out iBuyers because they don't door knock. So that's a question. Do you get people responding to you with iBuyers? Is that an objection or a competitor? Are there competitors to you when you call SNMI sellers?
You're asking me that?
Yeah.
So I actually lost one deal, a pre-foreclosure. It was really funny because we were literally door knocking pre-foreclosures and we drove up as the buyer was driving off. So this is just when I joined the program, and it was an iBuyer from Arizona. But that was the first ever time that I've actually had any interaction with any sort of iBuyer. So we were driving up, getting out, knocking on the door, and we were looking around for the owner, and he was walking across the street, and literally the buyer was driving off. He just literally signed a contract. But that was the only time I've ever dealt with iBuyer.
Yeah. I don't know it's as common in LA as it is in Phoenix and some other cities are newer, more pre-built, maybe out of Rancho Cucamonga area or certain parts of Southern California, but I don't see as much. Okay, good. What's an iBuyer? Great question. Ashley, this call's for you, Ashley, by the way. This is the Ashley Atwood Tuesday afternoon call. No, perfect, because you know what, Ashley, there's 10 people on the call who would ask the question that are too shy. So thank you for jumping in. And an iBuyer is a internet buyer. I guess it's short, like iPhone, iBuyer. And the idea is that there are, some large companies with a lot of money, deep pockets. And what they're really doing is instead of building a business one salesperson at a time, they're more attacking a market with a lot of marketing dollars and mailers and phone callers. And then they'll buy property. They'll make a deal kind of sight unseen, and then they send out an inspector and close within 10 days. The truth is, any of us on the phone have that capability. Meaning, if you don't have an iBuyer relationship or you have an investor relationship, I'll be it for you. Call me if you get a deal that needs somebody to buy a property for cash and close in days. Call me. I'll find somebody for you, right? And I'm not going to wholesale your deal. I have investors who I do business with who give me business. They're glad for me to send over to them a buyer. Sometimes it's listed, I'll make a commission. Other times it's not, and I'll just do my best to try to help you out. So you all need to have somebody that when a homeowner says to you, well, yeah, I'd love an offer on the property, how much would you offer? You need to have an answer for that. And sometimes it's something you can do right away on the phone. Sometimes some people want an hour to pull up comps, look at the numbers, run a calculation, and make a price. That price is always going to be subject to an inspection. But the more information you have, the more likely that your investor iBuyer will be accurate. So if you're at the property and you get more information, you have an advantage. If you're at the property and take photos, you have another advantage. And if you tell your wife never to change the tile in your house again, you have another advantage. I love my wife. It's just been a long 3 weeks. Anyhow, so my point is, iBuyers are no different. It's just the competition's getting more competitive. But all of you who are investors, if you're not part of a team or group that has somebody who will buy property for you, use me, and then until you build out your Rolodex. And I often get new wholesalers say to me, I'm building my buyer list. Don't worry about your buyer list. You build your seller list. Believe me, you find a deal with meat on the bone, there'll be buyers to buy your deal. And I'll either buy it or I'll find somebody who will. So, Sonny, do you have somebody that buys your deals, or you find them individually, or what do you do? What are you doing now to get your properties sold?
So, I mean, like, for instance, on the deal in Houston, I posted on Facebook Marketplace, and I just marketed it there and let buyers reach out to me that way.
There's plenty of buyers.
Yeah. So
if you have a deal, there's plenty of buyers.
Yeah. And then like in LA, being that, I went to some of these networking groups, I have a ton of buyers that are very reliable in terms of, as soon as I shoot them the deal, as soon as about 2 or 3 minutes later, they're telling me, yeah, we can do this or no, or where I would need to be at in terms of to actually close the deal.
Got a good question.
Hey, Bill.
Yes.
Hey, I wanted to mention something too, because Sonny, I appreciate.
What's up, PK?
How you doing, bud? Good to see you again, man. And you know what is Bill, Sonny came with me, like, I don't know, maybe it was a year and a half ago, because I just said, hey, if anyone wants to come with me, go door knocking. I think you and I were door knocking in LA, and I don't quite remember where it was, but the thing that I hear that Sonny has really done from the time that he and I got together that day was, Sonny's got a game plan now that he has a system in place, and having that like formula of what to get done between the hours of 8 and 5, that, okay, I'm going to set out my hook. I'm going to set out my net so that I can then get some people interested in bringing me some deals, so I can get through those deals to start figuring out what I can write offers on, and then get those offers on. And, Sonny, hats off to you, brother, because you've got your system now in place so that your deal flow is there, so that you can now get those offers out there, get some of them accepted, turn those right back around and turn that into a paycheck. And, when people first get into this business, they don't understand that is actually a really, it's a really tough process at first. And, Sonny and Bill, you and me, I mean, we've all had to go through that the very first time. And that ball feels like you're pushing it up the hill. But it's also great about being in the business at this time in 2020 is that, like, what Sonny's doing is he's utilizing some of the resources and technology that weren't there 10 years ago, like Facebook Marketplace, for example, where if Sonny's got a listing, he can put on Facebook Marketplace and a couple people might reach out to him from a couple of different states. And, he's transacting this all virtually, and he's getting done what he needs to get done. No different than if he's in Houston or if he's in Los Angeles. So even though it feels like a very insurmountable task to people who haven't done that first deal, the fact of the matter is there's also a lot of technology now that we can utilize. You've explained the VA process perfect, so I don't even have to touch that. But, hats off to you, because now you've got your system in place, you got your game plan in place, and now you can do even bigger deals like, so that if you want to start doing 4plexes or 3plexes or 8 units, you've got a system down. And that is a little bit of a process. And I think you and I got together, I don't know, maybe it was over a year ago or whatever, but you've gotten to that point now where you've put in the time, obviously, and you've figured out by utilizing those resources that are out there, like your wholesalers Facebook group, or, you know, and those groups are sharing so much ideas, good ideas, that really it's just about, once you figured out, hey, this is the part of business that I want to be in and I want to participate in, then you can figure out between 8 and 5, hey, this is what's got to get done. Like, these are must do's and nothing can stop me. Yeah, there's all this stuff going on with the election, but that's not our deal as deal makers, you know?
Yeah.
So congrats, bro. I'm really happy to hear about your progress. It sounds just so great. It really is.
Thanks, PK. I appreciate that a lot, man.
Yeah, man. Awesome.
A couple other questions to knock you out here. Michael Heisterkamp says that he does an iBuyer program for commercial space. He does. We've had him on the program a few times. So if that's something you're looking for, reach out to Michael. Got a question from Wayne. How do you build enough capital? A good question, Sonny, because I don't think you're yet independently wealthy, are you?
No.
Yeah. So how do you build enough capital for down payment for hard money loan or private money?
So honestly, I'm just kind of, I have a coach that I call, he talks about basically base hits. So, honestly, I'm to the point now where it's like the deal that, you know, I told you about in Memphis, that deal would have been a no-brainer. It was a duplex. The seller only wanted about 7,000. And, you know, if the rehab would have made sense, I would have pulled the trigger on it just based on, it would have been, it's a sub-2 deal, not to mention, it was $7,000 with $3,000 payment and $4,000 over like a year or two or something like that. So, essentially coming with closing costs and his down payment, you know, it wouldn't be hard, especially now that I have, you know, relationships with like Ed and stuff like that, where they're like, you know, they see me every week for a year straight. So it's like, I mean, I can't really fake that. So like, he's been seeing me every year for a week straight, and, you know, building those kind of organic relationships kind of helps you beat out when you don't necessarily have the funds or, you know, that sort of thing. So it's like when you have those personal relationships where like, Ed, I have a deal where basically, I mean, I have to make a lot of mistakes to mess this deal up. So, and it's not even like you're putting out a large outlay of cash. So, on that deal, if the deal would have made sense, I was trying to make it a rental where basically I was going to put 3,000 down. I was going to pay the wholesaler 1,000, and, you know, the closing costs would have been around 2,000-3,000. And I wanted to put in about 8 to 10 grand as far as the rehab. And, you know, that property would have been renting for about $850 a unit. So I would have been making close to $1,600 a month. But being that the rehab was more so about 30 to 40,000, it really didn't make sense, being that, you know, retail properties are selling for the same price.
Look at you with all those numbers, Sonny. What the hell? A year ago, you knew. I'm just telling you. Just forget what he just said. Like, it sounds like, you know, he's talking. He knows what he's talking about. He didn't know any of that a year ago.
He's
True or
grown.
false? True or false? True or false? If you were on this call a year ago, you'd have no idea what you just said. True or false?
No, I would have been trying to look at some videos or something like that.
He's just hustling. This is what happens when you hustle. This is what it looks like, okay?
Yeah.
And to answer your question more clearly, what Sonny was saying is, you don't need money if there's a deal. Money will come around. I've been in business since 1986. There's never been a better time to finance deals. If there's a real deal, there'll be money. If you can't find it, call me. I'll put together with my wholesale lenders or my hard money lenders. We'll work it out. But don't let money get in the way. If there's meat on the bone, somebody will finance it for you. True or false?
Most definitely. Just the fact that you could bring the deal, they'll finance it just because they don't want to go look for them.
Exactly.
So you guys can be 50-50 partners just based on that.
And I know Michael also runs like a mortgage program. He can help with that as well. Let's see. There's one other question I saw. I go to everybody. Oh, you gotta go. Okay, so yeah, Paul also is Paul's actually an investor and a hard money lender as well. So we have a few of them on the call here. Trust me, anybody who asked a question about money, I don't want to embarrass anybody, but Wayne asked the question. I assure you, this is for all the new people who are there. Gee, how do I get started? I don't have any money. I don't have this. You find a property where there's money on the table. I promise you'll get paid somehow.
Yeah.
If you're not getting paid somehow, it just means you haven't figured out how to earn some money on the deal, and let somebody who knows the business show you how to do that. It's as simple as that, right?
And I also wanted to answer Toya's question. She was asking where I got my VAs from. So
yeah.
So one of my VAs I got organically. So I was just posting on Facebook, like, I needed, because that was to the point where I got to the point where I was kind of tired of skip tracing myself. So I was posting, about finding VAs. So he was from the Philippines, and basically I was telling him that, I'd pay him 9 cents per lead. So I would send him a list. I would send him a list, and I'll put my information there, Dion, right now. So I'd send him a list, and he'd skip trace it at 9 cents a lead. So it got to the point to where, I sent him a list like 2 days before, and it took him like a day or something to skip trace it. So I organically got that one off of Facebook. The other one, I joined a program with Antoine Campbell, and basically I paid him $1,000, and they go out and find the VAs, and they vet them and teach them scripts and stuff like that, and then you basically take on as far as the payments and stuff like that.
It's a great question. I'll share with you. I've used a lot of VAs over the last 5, 8, 10 years. There's a great website, upwork.com, UPWRK. And sometimes people say, well, it's hard to find a good one. I've got pretty good at it. One thing I'll do sometimes is take a job and I'll hire 2 people for the same job, and use one for a week, use both for a week, and then pick the better one to go for a while longer. So for $4 an hour, you can break a task down to a small piece and test them out. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Can anyone help me with no microphone, trying to get a loan or equity partner for a client for 2 deals, 400 units in Memphis, $13 million buy, Albert Goldberg. Okay, so, Albert, I know the guys who do, if that deal's doable, I know those guys. I was on the multifamily mastermind last night, and I can help you offline. Anybody who can help with a multifamily deal, Albert Goldberg is on the chat box with those details. How do we get in contact with Sonny? Sonny, do you want to put your contact info in, or?
Yeah, I just put it in the chat right now.
Okay, cool. Let's see if I can. Okay, cool. So appreciate that. Let's see here. Sonny, we're so proud of you. Oh man, that's all gushy. Let's not do that. No, man, I am so proud. I am also really proud of you. So we got some time. Ashley, any more questions, Ashley, for Sonny?
Not necessarily specific questions, more like what PK was saying. I'd love to tag along and go door knocking with somebody sometime and like really learn, because that terrifies me. I worked for the census for a heartbeat, and that was very scary. I got told off more than you did in 1 week than I can ever, but I'd love to dive in facing my fears. And so if anybody is up for a blonde tag along, I would happy.
Are you in LA?
Yes.
Are you in LA?
I'm in LA, yeah.
Yeah, so me and my partner have a window out, but we were going every Tuesday and Thursday, and basically that's what we're doing. We're door knocking pre-foreclosure. So my information's in the chat if you want to talk offline.
I'm gonna write it down.
So because I still door knock, because right now it's trying to transition into, I guess, being a CEO. I don't know. Where I'm taking the calls and closing the deals, but I still feel like I have to do something and be active, because it's like just sitting here letting them make all the calls. I'm like, I need to do something. So
I hate to interrupt. I'm new to the group, but to kind of help you guys with door knocking, are you guys familiar with First American Title?
Yeah.
I can get the number, but if you call, they have reps to where they have an actual application that you can kind of plug in. Is like Prop Street.
Yeah. I have one of those. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And you go ahead and circle the area. You can see what houses have the pre-foreclosure, and just go ahead and knock on those doors. I think that's pretty helpful as well.
Exactly.
We actually have the call as a regular, Nicole Romero from Pacific Coast Title, and she offers some of those services, data and apps and stuff. So feel free to check her info in the chat box. Nicole?
Absolutely. I'll put my information there. We have a lot of those types of tools. And then I also have insight to other tools also, so long as I understand what you folks are up to and trying to do, what you're targeting, trying to buy, trying to list, not trying. I mean, I say trying because it's not necessarily who you are today. It's what resources you're using to get to who you want to be today into tomorrow, meaning adding more finances, adding more net to the bottom line, you know, and continuing not to leave money on the table. I definitely have resources, title profile resources, and other things such of that nature. I'm going to put my name, my contact in the chat. Please send me an email if you're interested in support in any way.
Great.
Nicole Romero,
She's a
Pacific
great
Coast
supporter of
Highway.
our call from the beginning, so appreciate. And I've used her on transaction recently and does a great job. So, and the rest of department too.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions for Sunny? Here's a chance. I get asked all the time. I'm new and this. Here's your chance. He's actually done it. He's gone from a worthless piece of nothing.
Oh no.
I liked it from the beginning. I don't know. I was a sucker. You had a great smile. I fell for that right from the very beginning. No, I mean, he was hungry. Look, he was hungry from the beginning. You could tell. But meanwhile, he's done an amazing job. But the truth is, I think he'll be the first to admit this. You're not Superman. It's not a superpower, right? There wasn't any bolt of lightning that you caught that somebody else wouldn't catch. You just worked hard every day for like a year, and here you are, right?
Yeah.
That's really, I mean, I watched it happen. There's no magic. Who's got a question for him? Come on. Okay, I got one. Was there a time that you were ready to quit?
Ooh, a lot of times. I mean, especially being that, you know, you're dumping all this money in. I mean, to other people, it might, you know, not be a lot, but it's like, you know, I was working, you know, I was a W-2 worker. So it's like, and then on top of that, I'm working a minimum wage and living in LA. So it's like, you know, I'm dumping this money into all this marketing as well as putting all my time into going to all these meetups. So I'm going to Sizzler meetup. I'm going to Steve Love's meetup at Culver City. I'm going out to IE. I'm going to like a lot of meetups and I'm not really seeing anything from it. And even like one of my first deals I closed only made like $2,500. So it wasn't like, you know, once I actually even closed my first deal, it was like, you know, oh, I got this big lump sum of money. It's like I still had to work. So it was like, it did get overwhelming, but just knowing that, you know, I wanted something outside of, you know, being beholden to someone else is the only thing that really kept me, you know, going forward. You muted, Bill.
There's a traditional Jewish saying, all beginnings are difficult.
Yeah.
Right? And it just is. But you got to push through that. It makes you stronger, right? Are you stronger today than you were a year ago because of all this?
Yeah. I used to complain about some stuff that I look at now, like, just shut up, dude. This work.
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes when we're not doing much, it's easy to nitpick and complain about everything. When you're busy, you just learn to deal with things that are more important. Good. Any other questions? Last chance for Sunny. I got about 3 more minutes to go. Any other questions? I'm looking for a passive investor to invest in a rental property. Do you have any advice on the path? Dawn is asking a question about passive investors. So first off, if you are one, respond to her. Second, I would say, Dawn, the passive investors, it's always depends on the deal. You kind of present what's the investment, what's the expected return, you know, document that. They're passive investors who buy rental properties, commercial properties, multifamily, stocks, bonds, notes, every single day. But if you want to find somebody, I would just recommend put together as much information as you can and then try to find somebody to help you that way if that's a bit of a help. You must have any suggestions on how to find passive investors other than, and bring the deal here. And I'll say this, Don, if you put out a piece of paper, the basic information, or send to me ahead of time, I'll help critique it, make it better for you. We could post it here next time and try to find an investor for you. Glad to do that at no cost. Mark asked, how much was the PACE program? Are you okay sharing that, Sunny?
Yeah, so I think it went up, but originally it was a 9,800. So I actually maxed out my credit card to get in the program. But luckily I was able to get a deal right when I got in the program. But yeah, I think it went up to 10,800 now.
And what do you get for that?
So it's a lifetime membership. So actually right now, well, I don't think they did it today, but so I'm in an accountability group, the Southern California accountability group. Pace he does mentorship calls every Tuesday, as well as they also have this thing called a no excuses program where they provide the list. All you do is call it and basically they'll close it. So, I mean, also, right, he stopped recently, but before he was at the point where he's actually calling your sellers for you. Like if you had a difficult seller, you can schedule it. He'll jump on a call and actually call your seller. So, but
nice.
And then a nationwide network as well. So like even when I'm working these deals, it's not like I'm just going in blind. I'll reach out to someone in a group and like, hey, who's in this market sort of thing. And, he also has a transaction coordinator that you can work with is, yeah. So, I mean, it's very beneficial.
Who's the he?
Pace Morby.
Pace
Morby.
Pace Morby. Got it. Thank you.
Yes.
Good. Any other questions for Sonny or anybody else you talked to here today? Any questions at all? Brand newbies to very sophisticated. Again, feel free to bring, if you have deals, you want to come back next week and pitch a property or investment opportunity. Best to send me ahead of time. I can post it and share with people and put it in our notes and put it online. I'm glad to do that. Any other questions? This guy's going to respond and talk. Go ahead.
Definitely let me know if you want to join Title Tuesday, because you will find tools there, like ways to get phone numbers on the fly, stuff like that. And I do have recordings for past Title Tuesdays. So even if you want to know what we've already had to see if there's a recording for something, my number's there. Just snapshot it. Call me on the side. I'm happy to help.
Very good. Thanks, Nicole. Okay, guys, I do a call on Thursdays at 4 o'clock on Probate Real Estate. We do this every week on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Next week, we have a guest who's going to talk about the real estate market, has some statistics and data that should help you be more effective when you talk to buyers and sellers of property. So looking forward to Dimitri Farbroff, one of my very good friends. And then let's see. Jack Lapidus collects old Apple hardware. Anything with Apple on it. Okay, there you go. Donates extras. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. See you next week. It's on YouTube if you want to see the recording. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Sonny.